Right, can everyone see the PowerPoint?
No, Ben.
Okay.
We can see it now.
Great.
Awesome. Well, hello and welcome to our training, Best Practices for Serving WT Clients Virtually. We're so glad that you decided to join us. My name's Teray Donaldson, and I'm the WT SNAP Program Manager for Region 1 in Pensacola, Florida, and Chair Lady for our TANF SME group. My co-presenter is Rachel Paymer, the WT SNAP Program Manager for Region 20 and Port St. Lucie, and Chair Lady for our TANF SME group. We will also have some guest panelists from our group, including Ben Vandernick of Region 18, Javetta Flory of Region 8, and Marvetta Gordon of Region 13. So again, thank you for joining us, and we're excited about our live training that we'll present today. I'd like to start out by telling you a little bit more about who we are, and then we'll talk a moment about what we do. First, I'd like to acknowledge and thank our COO group, our COO, Josh Matlock, who's also the VP in Region 18. He's the one who brought our group together. He's been meeting with us on a regular basis, as well as VPs Christine Sakura of Region 11 and Tracy McMorris of Region 20. And of course, the COO from my region, Region 1, Bill Barron. Rachel and I would also like to quickly acknowledge all of our colleagues from across the state that are currently part of our TANF SME group, or they've been part of our work over the past year. So in alpha order by first name, we'll say, alpha order by first name. I think that covers it. We've got Ben Vandernick, Denise Miranda, Javetta Flory, Jessica Mishler, Kathleen Danclair, Marvetta Gordon, Myrna Serrano, Regina Shedrick, Stephanie Nide, Tammy Pumphrey, and Torniqua Owens. So we just want to say thank you to those who've been part of our work over the past year. We're a group of WT program managers from across the state, as well as those who work closely with or have an interest in TANF programs. We started meeting in August 2020 during the height of the pandemic. And that was again with COO Josh Matlock, a few other VPs, and some other program managers. And we're celebrating our 1-year anniversary as a group as of this past August. So we're really excited about the work that we do. And speaking of what we do, we have a separate slide for that. So I'll tell you a little bit more about that. As I mentioned, of course, we started meeting virtually back in August of 2020. The main goal was to identify areas in which we felt our teams needed additional training and to formulate a plan to address those training needs as a group. We've since began developing a library of live recordings, such as the one that we're doing today, which include some topics that we've already tackled, as well as some of the following topics which may be coming soon. And those include assessments, case closures and alerts and to-dos, work registration, alerts in the Florida system, IRPs, core and core plus activities, transitional services, support services, the MMR and engagement reports, diversion services, OSST, or the one-stop service tracking system, the monitoring tool, pre-penalties and sanctions, and deferrals. So those are some of the trainings that have either already been tackled, or again, they may be coming soon. All of our recorded trainings are being saved to our YouTube channel. We currently have several live recordings that have already been uploaded to the channel. And those topics include case notes and the to-do alerts, the OSST plan development screen, the OSST skill development screen, OSST client info and education, and more. So we encourage you to check us out, as our live recordings are actually very useful for onboarding and training new hires in WT, as well as refresher or retraining for existing WT staff. So for example, during the pandemic and state waiver, many of the tasks that staff would normally complete on a daily basis were in many cases done less frequently, as clients were under a state waiver. Now that the waiver has ended a couple months ago, refresher training has proved very beneficial to us in resuming our services. So again, we really do encourage you to check out the live recordings as you may find them useful for your region. We're always looking for more WT program managers and TANF SMEs to join our group. So if you are a WT program manager, or if you work closely with TANF programs, we encourage you and invite you to join us and be part of our collaboration. We meet weekly and we record live trainings as frequently as possible to address our internal training needs. So if you're interested, simply email me or Rachel Paymer, and we will add you to our weekly invites. And you'll see our email addresses here in the current slide. Now we're going to switch gears and get into our feature presentation. So we hope that you are ready for some great info today. Although Rachel and I will co-present, we will also have, as I mentioned, some guest panelists from the TANF SME group to share some of their region's best practices. So as we were preparing our presentation, we thought it would actually give the presentation greater meaning for you to actually hear a few examples of best practices from the regions that actually use them. First, we will talk about best practices for using virtual platforms such as Teams, Skype, and GoToMeeting. Then we'll cover best practices for completing work registration virtually and virtual appointments using Right Signature, Adobe, DocuSign, PandaDoc, and Microsoft Bookings. We will also cover best practices for using online programs and course offerings for those that we serve. Finally, we'll close out with how to use the MMR and engagement reports for success as we continue to serve our clients virtually. It's our hope that by the end of this presentation, and having learned more about our best practices for serving clients virtually, you'll walk away with a few, or at least one nugget or tool to add to your toolkit to help you and your region as you continue serving clients virtually. So at this time, I'll turn it over to Rachel to get us started on best practices for using virtual platforms, and we hope you enjoy our presentation.
Thank you, Teray. As Teray said, my name is Rachel Paymer, and I'm going to cover the virtual platform section. So virtual platforms allow staff, clients, and really friends and family to collaborate remotely, safely, securely. These virtual platforms that we're going to discuss are literally how we survived this pandemic. We worked, right? Our kids went to school. And even to this day, we meet with our coworkers, we meet with our partner organizations daily without leaving our office, whether it be a home office or your desk at your career source. So while virtual platforms and video conferencing aren't a perfect substitute for face-to-face human interaction, it's a solid runner-up. And we're gonna briefly review the various platforms that we use. Okay, so I'm gonna start with Zoom. So when this pandemic first started to move all across the country, all across the world, so when we all had to do the virtual life, virtual work, Zoom was all we heard about. It was all over the news. So in March of 2020, there were 200 million users of Zoom worldwide. And it was definitely on the forefront early, and it still continues to be very popular. There was new terminology specific to Zoom. They called them Zoomers or Zoom bombing, if you remember in the news. Zoom's corporation is Zoom Video Communications. It's been around since 2011. Like the other platforms we'll review, Zoom is used for teleconferencing, webinars, and online chat service through the cloud-based storage. So again, like other platforms, Zoom has a mobile option for both Android and iOS. They all have screen sharing options and have virtual backgrounds. Zoom's free version can host up to 100 participants at once. Okay, so some pros. On your screen, Zoom can actually fit as many participants as your screen will allow, like the size of your screen, which isn't the case for some of the other platforms. Supposedly, it will touch up your appearance and adjust your lighting. It's compatible with Google Calendar, so you can schedule Zoom meetings from your Google Calendar. Background noise suppression is the default, and they have really fun Snapchat, like AR filters and reactions. It's an example of a funny Snapchat filter that was in a Zoom call. You know, we're always trying to keep things fun and light and keep people laughing. Okay, now some cons. You do have to download the app. If you're used to other platforms like Teams and you weren't expecting to have to download anything, you are going to be late for your first meeting. So the video quality can be unpredictable. People say, I think that happens with a lot of them. Sometimes the video is blurry. Again, also happens with a lot of them. Zoom's default webcam image is SD, but HD can be enabled with some tweaking. Okay, so the next one is Skype. Skype's full corporation name is Skype Technologies, and it's a division of Microsoft. So it was first released in 2003 and was one of the earliest remote connection tools on the market. So like many of the leading software giants, it was made by some tech developers and two entrepreneurs who believed in this concept, right? So although video conferencing wasn't really new, it wasn't used because it was really expensive. It was very costly. So the developers of Skype's main drive was to reduce the cost of voice calls over the internet. So later Skype was sold to eBay, and later Microsoft got it. So by 2014, Skype was actually so popular that it was added to the dictionary as a verb. So people used to say, I'll Skype you. I guess people say now, I'll Teams you or I'll Zoom you. But to continue this March 2020 reference, Skype was used by 100 million people worldwide, which was significantly less than Zoom was performing at the time. So, and although Microsoft did retire Skype for Business in July of 2021, it was used throughout the panic, and it was worth mentioning, and it's apparently still available for public consumers. Some pros, in general, completely free to use. If you paid a nominal fee, they call it like Skype credit, or you purchase a subscription for like, I think it's $2.99 a month, you can send text messages and calls and receive calls from landline and mobile phones. So it's almost like you had a phone. And similar to how social media apps operate, registered users of Skype are identified by a unique Skype ID, and they're listed in the Skype directory under this username. So it allows the registered users to communicate through both instant message and voice chat. You can find each other with your Skype ID. Let's see what else. Okay, so it's used mobile, like, you know, your cell phone, PC, Xbox, and through Alexa. So some cons, it's like 50 participants per meeting. Compared to other virtual platforms, it didn't perform remotely close to as well on mobile devices, on cell phones, which is ultimately the reason that Skype for Business was retired by Microsoft. Okay, so we're going to go into Teams. First launched in 2017. In addition to being video conferencing software, it's also like an all-in-one workplace communication hub. It integrates with Office 365, like Word, Excel, and SharePoint. Microsoft Teams provides administrators and video conference hosts with a large degree of control over who can join calls and meetings and what data can be accessed and shared. So Teams replaced Skype for Business. And to compare with the other online platforms from March of 2020, about 44 million users were using Teams. You can have about up to 300 individuals in a call. Some pros, very, very secure, like multi-factor authentication. There's a secure guest access. Very widely used. We use it here. I know there's a lot of career sources that use it. Literally, like everyone I communicate with uses Teams. My kid's school uses Teams. You can use it on the web, and you don't have to download an app. So, and some cons. I read an article that compared Microsoft Teams to IKEA. If you know IKEA, a Swedish furniture store. Tons and tons of pieces. Things are, I mean, it's a organized chaos. So, but like the IKEA warehouse, Teams is very orderly, but it's hyper compartmentalized. So if you're used to IKEA self-service and you know where things are, because things are all over the place. But if you're used to the setup, it makes sense. But if you're that new customer coming from the showroom, it will take you time to become familiar with all that Teams offers. So some let's see, some cons. Let's keep going. They said there's some people say confusing file structure. There's apparently some limited storage, requires pretty high system requirements, which the RAM and the processing speed. And so now we're going to use, Teray's going to give you an example of how Region 1 used Microsoft Teams during the pandemic.
Awesome. Thank you, Rachel. Just to share just a quick example on how Region 1, one of the ways that we use Teams during the pandemic would be for team building and virtual happy hours. That's something that my department really enjoyed during periods of stay-at-home orders, quarantine, telework. We would schedule time for us to actually come together for team building, and a happy hour was a great way to do that. Each member of the team was assigned to a particular duty, whether it was to bring the icebreaker or maybe be the DJ or even bring some other team building activities for us to do together. So Teams allowed us to stay connected during those periods where we ordinarily may not have been able to do so. So that's just one of the ways that we used it, in addition to some other things that we've done, but just wanted to share a quick example. Thanks, Rachel.
So now
Okay.
Javetta Fleury from Region 8 is going to cover GoToMeeting.
Yes, so thank you. So GoToMeeting has been around for quite some time. It has many of the same features as Zoom and Teams. It's just another platform that can be used to assist with the delivery of services to your customers. Some of the advantages of Team include allows a large number of participants and the ability to have real-time video, same as Teams has. The disadvantage is there is a cost associated with the product, and the chat feature is not as advanced as some of the other platforms. In Region 8, we were able to use GoToMeeting to conduct our SNAP workshops simultaneously in 6 counties. This was awesome because it gave our participants an opportunity to choose a one-stop center that was near their home on a specific date and time. And what we would do is have them come into the center. They were in a specific room with a speakerphone that allowed them to be able to ask questions and answer questions. There was a PowerPoint, and also the presenter would be able to show a document, and the participants were able to sign the documents. They were asking questions about the documents. We limited that workshop to 5 people just so that we would be able to adequately answer and respond to any questions that they may have. We still use that along with Teams to conduct some of our workshops, and how we've done it now. That was pre-COVID. Now post-COVID, customers can log in from their home or their phone, and still we're able to conduct those meetings. Okay, so now I'm going to turn it over to Marvetta Gordon.
Thanks, Javetta. My name is Marvetta Gordon. I'm the WT and SNAP Program Manager for Region 13 here in Brevard County, Florida. I'm sharing with you today a modified version of a more comprehensive and detailed presentation that's on understanding automation codes for work registration. It was created by Jessica Mishler and myself for the group, and with the assistance of the group, with input from the group. The recording of the presentation has been included in the TANF webinar series that's located on the YouTube channel that Teray and Rachel previously shared on a previous screen. I've also included the link here on this slide in case you want to view the full presentation. Like many regions, our region scrambled in March of 2020 when it was determined to close our career source centers due to COVID-19 public health emergency, and staff began teleworking from home. At that time, our region, like many other regions, had manual work registration process that included a requirement that applicants to the Welfare Transition Program attend an on-site in-person orientation as part of the work registration process. Guidance provided from DEO on Friday, March 27, 2020 was a game changer. To ensure that Florida families have access to temporary cash assistance benefits with minimal burden and to adhere to the social distancing recommendations of the Center for Disease Control, DEO encouraged all workforce boards to reduce work registration requirements to the following minimum of the automated work registration process in the OSST system: automated orientation and automated needs and barrier assessment. That was the limit. So as a result, we modified our work registration as encouraged by DEO. Now that our career source centers have reopened and staff have returned to work in the centers, our region elected to continue using the auto work registration process. In the recorded presentation located on the YouTube channel, we discussed both manual work registration and the fully automated work registration codes, demonstrating how they appear in the OSST system, and where possible, we will also show the OSST client site view. This afternoon, the focus is on automated work registration that begins when a customer has been referred by DCF on the Florida AGPI screen to work register. The applicant will need to log into the OSST client site, which is ossstclient.deo.myflorida.com website, to complete their work registration. If the region has selected auto work registration for their applicant default, then the applicant will be required to complete the following steps. First, to accept the opportunities and obligations, which is a code 499, and complete the client form. Then complete the orientation, code 498. Next, your customer will complete the needs assessment, code 497. And finally, they will click checkout, code 495, to conclude the auto work registration, and auto work registered code 494 will be system generated. As far as coding goes, the difference from auto work registration and manual work registration is that a code 495 auto work registration populates on the completion of the auto work registration, and system generates a note on the CLRC screen in the Florida system, whereas in the manual work registration code 493 populates, which requires staff to result or close the activity. As stated in the beginning of this presentation of this slide deck on auto work registration codes, I mentioned that my region had manual work registration process that included requirements that applicants to the Welfare Transition Program attend an on-site in-person orientation as part of the work registration process. Now that we provide the same orientation previously delivered on-site through an online training Moodle, it no longer part of the work registration process, but part of the initial engagement appointment process. Being flexible with both when to provide the service and by which method to provide the service has maintained continuity and quality for service for our customers. Now I'll turn it over to Rachel to discuss virtual appointments.
Thank you. So over the past year and a half, we went from using technology to support our jobs to relying on technology to function effectively, or even function at all in some of the cases. If you remember about a year and a half ago, as I'm sure with you all, there were a lot of hiccups, a lot of lessons learned, and throughout this pandemic, the importance of face-to-face communication became very evident. Face-to-face meetings, that's how you build relationships with your clients. It's also easier to read their body language, their facial expressions, to interpret their nonverbal communication signals. In a study that was recently done in the Journal of Experimental Social Psychology, face-to-face requests and interactions are 34 times more likely and more effective than the ones in writing, specifically email. So in this post, present, whatever we're in, pandemic climate we live in, we work, we face these face-to-face interactions aren't always they're not always possible or safe for you and your coworkers. So as you can tell, I like research. So it's a little more research. So over 90% of human communication consists of body language. So when you see the way the person you're talking to reacts, you can better understand how they're feeling and if they understand what you're telling them. And you all know that when it comes to welfare transition, we all know our clients have to understand what is required of them to continue receiving their benefits. They have to understand. I mean, we can tell them, but we have to make sure that they understand. So our clients are mandatory, so appointments weren't optional early on, before I was comfortable with this technology. I did a lot of phone appointments, including initial appointments. Follow-up appointments, fine, over the phone, but the first meeting was very impersonal when I did it over the telephone, because that's really when you first get to know somebody. That's when you start to build their trust. And for me, without seeing people's faces, their names all ran together. And so we used our virtual platforms. We used Teams or Zoom or whatever your organization uses. Mine uses Teams. Very simple setup. You send the client the calendar invitation and email with the Teams meeting link or the Zoom meeting link, and you get to see each other's face. So the client can access Teams through the web on their phone or computer, and they don't have to download an app. So and as case managers, I want to say that especially if you've been doing this for a while, we forget how complicated and confusing this program can be and how it could feel for a participant. So back to building that trust. Our clients hear a lot of acronyms, a lot of new terminology that's old terminology to us. So and a lot's being asked of them in a very short period of time for not a big return on their investment. So just to elaborate about my region, we require 35 hours a week, so of work activity, which is 140 hours a month. So a family of two with a shelter expense gets $241 in cash assistance per month. So it roughly calculates to about 58 cents an hour. So again, not much return on their investment, nor commitment on their part, unless and until you build that relationship with them. Okay, so getting paperwork back from clients, that was a big early struggle. So you all know how we are with our paperwork. We need that back. It's way more important to us than it is to them. And why is that? It's always because of monitoring. Anybody have anything they want to add, please feel free. The most important thing to me was always the IRP. I want the IRP back signed. And if you assign someone to a work activity or to a deferral, but you don't get that signed IRP back, monitoring issue, right? If you provide someone childcare, but it's not listed on a signed IRP, so again, a monitoring issue. So the ability to obtain an electronic signature became absolutely necessary. So these are some of the electronic signature applications that our group uses. Okay, so we're going to start with Adobe Acrobat Pro. This is what my team uses almost exclusively. You purchase a license, it's subscription based. You can get a web-based version or you can get an app that you download on your computer. It's about $180 per year per license. You get an unlimited number of signatures. You can create forms, unlimited number. If the client doesn't have a computer, he or she can download the app for free on their phone and sign and initial any document you send. The document is returned to the sender via an email as an attachment. So they have to actively return it to you. Okay, so let's go over PandaDoc. There are a few of us on this group who use PandaDoc. For the most part, it's completely free. You upload the document to the PandaDoc dashboard, add any fields that aren't set up automatically to be digitally signed and completed, and then you send it from the PandaDoc dashboard. The client accesses it through their email, and once it's complete, you get an email back saying it's been completed by all participants. You get an unlimited number of signatures, an unlimited number of documents. It's really simple to use, in my opinion. It's more user-friendly than Adobe Acrobat Pro, and I use Adobe Acrobat Pro all the time. So, right, so the next one is Write Signature. This software is used exclusively by Career Source Flag Revolution. That's how I learned about it. I'm sure there are plenty other career sources that use it, but that was the first time I heard about it, was from Career Source Flag Revolution. Same concept as PandaDoc. The client accesses the document through their email. Once it's complete, you get an email back advising the document's been completed by all participants. The one thing that I liked a lot, it's literally foolproof. Once you access this right signature, it gives you instructions how to fill it out. It's got red arrows everywhere you need to go, like on the example on the screen. For the basic package, it's about $145 per license per year. All right, so the next one is DocuSign. So in addition to using the Adobe Acrobat, CareerSource, my CareerSource Research Coast uses DocuSign. We don't on our team, and I'll explain why in a minute, but same concept as PandaDoc, same concept as Right Signature. You choose your signature style. It's one click to place your signature in multiple places. But the difference in DocuSign is that the organization has to purchase individual license, and they call them an envelope. And it's one envelope per document. So if you don't have to send a lot of documents out for signature, it's very, very cost effective. So we use this for like contracts, OJT agreements. And the cost is about $7 per envelope. So it's like $7 per document. So it clearly would not work for welfare transition, but it's very effective for other uses. So lastly, this is my favorite part from the paid electronic signature program. So we talked about DocuSign and Right Signature, right? You receive a separate email showing the audit trail. So it tells you when the client received it, when it was signed, and so on and so on. It's not available on the PandaDocs free version, and you'd have to purchase the upgrade.
Great information. And I guess everybody can tell from already, we've talked about the importance of having those appointments. So now we'd like to talk to you about booking those appointments. So Microsoft Bookings is an online scheduling system. Bookings is created through Office 365, and it allows the customer to book their own appointments virtually through a link. In Region 8 is through our CareerSource Northeast Florida website, or they can do it via Facebook. Once an appointment is booked, the case manager is alerted of the date and time via their Outlook calendar. The customer also receives a reminder text and email 24 hours before the appointment is scheduled. The picture to the left on our is the admin center of booking, which shows every appointment that's been booked and allows the administrator to update appointments, cancel the appointments, and allows them to the ability to change the customer, who the customer has booked with. When the customer chooses the date and time of their appointment, the customer has the option to choose a specific staff member if that person is available, or the booking system will randomly pick a staff member that is available when the appointment is booked. Booking helps your customer quickly find available time. It gives them, it empowers them to be able to schedule their appointments, and it avoids double booking. With bookings, you'll spend less time scheduling and more time meeting with your customers.
All right, thank you, Javetta. Now we're going to talk a little bit about some of the online programs and course offerings for the clients that we serve. So we'll start out by talking a bit about Aztec for GED. Some of you may have already heard of it. You may have used it. Others, it may be new to you. What is Aztec? It's an internet-based high school equivalency or GED program. There's GED that's offered in English, and they also have a Spanish version that is coming soon. It perfectly complements teacher instruction. Very beneficial for students to work at their own pace with the flexibility to work from home with a computer or tablet, or on site in a designated workspace. So for example, here in Region 1, we've used Aztec for a few years for GED. In addition to having an actual GED instructor who was on site Mondays through Thursdays. Our students also had the flexibility during the pandemic to continue their online learning off-site or from home on various devices in order for them to continue working towards their learning path and the goal of completing their GED. So this proved particularly useful for us during the pandemic, especially during those periods where we had the stay-at-home orders or whenever students maybe needed to quarantine for possible exposure. And we all know how that's worked out over the past year and a half. So that's been very useful for us with Aztec. Our students have been able to continue working on their GED assignments and learning path in Aztec while receiving some virtual support from the GED instructor, whether it was via Teams or via chat, via phone and email. GED remained virtually uninterrupted during the pandemic, thanks to Aztec. So some of the key system features include, and we're going to dissect that just quickly. Some of the key features: manage and track goals and learning plans. So teachers can assign and view the student goals, see their progress and performance, view the assignments in all the lesson plans, and modify the plans as necessary. When viewing the learning plans, teachers can also see whether an assignment is not started, in progress, assigned for review, or completed. So again, that's one of the key features, the ability to manage and track the goals in the learning plans. Another key feature is tracking assignments and assessments. Teachers can see immediate results from student learning activities and assessments, and even drill down to specific student answers and areas that may require some remediation. So again, another key feature. Another one we'd like to highlight is the ability to send and receive notifications. So teachers can communicate directly with students and provide live, ongoing support, tutorial services, and remediation. In the example I shared a moment ago, Region 1 has been able to provide real-time support to students throughout the pandemic by using various forms of communication, such as what I just mentioned, the Aztec notification system, and also what I mentioned earlier, the Teams, the chat, phone support, etc. Another key feature would be the ability to track the time on task. Time on task is easy to see for a single student or even for the entire class. It's viewable by the date range and sortable by self-identified criteria. So that's another key feature. Finally, the reporting feature would be one of the highlights or key features. We have the ability to run reports on all aspects of student engagement with the online program. And as you know, that is very beneficial for us in WT, particularly for JPRs and capturing the hours that are actually completed in Aztec. So that's Aztec in a nutshell. We highly recommend it. If you haven't used it, maybe check it out. Give it a second look. It may be something that could be useful in your region. Next, we'll talk about Allison.com. I'm sure many of you are familiar with Allison to some degree. Some of us use it for job skills training. Others may implement it in other ways. But we'll talk quickly about some of the key features of Allison.com. So what is Allison, if you're not familiar with it? It's another virtual platform that we use for free online training for participants. To get started, we're going to talk a little bit about just some of the most, I'd say the most beneficial features of Allison.com. We'll just talk quickly about those. It's very user-friendly, easy to navigate. That's just based on feedback that we actually get from the clients that we serve. That's one of the programs that they really seem to like because it just has that ease of navigation. Also, it offers a wide variety of course categories and course types, which also make it very popular among participants, and I'd even say among staff. Staff has the ability to tailor a plan and customize it to work for whatever the client's short-term and long-term goals may be. Also, another key feature, easy to track client progress and obtain the JPRs. So we know that that is always of use to us, as I mentioned a moment ago with Aztec. being able to capture those JPRs and actual completed hours. And finally, the client can obtain certificates to add to their portfolio. So as you know, in any program, whether it's WT or some other program that you may be working, we always want to upskill our participants. That's always the goal. Help them become self-sufficient, find that dream job. Allison gets them on the path to do that with those certificates that they're able to add to their portfolio. So I think that's Allison.com in a nutshell. That slide there kind of showed you, how it looks, where to find it. We recommend that you check it out if it's not something that you're already using. All right, so now we'll turn it over to our next presenter who's going to talk a little bit about LinkedIn Learning.
So another online program that we would like to review is LinkedIn Learning. My region uses it. There's over 16,000 courses. They feature different individuals. They're experts in their field. Staff have to identify courses and create their own learning paths and collections. Its needs. We use it for job search and job readiness, specifically the job readiness portion. Introduction to world of work, budgeting, life skills, interpersonal skills, time management. But because there are trainings on specific software and specific job skills, we also have used it as job skills training. There is a time tracking component, so you can count the hours towards participation. And also there's a 1-month free trial with full access to all courses. Okay, so this is the LinkedIn Learning desktop. So many different courses to choose from. Cloud computing, networking, cybersecurity, like I said, time management, communication, and on and on. And it goes over, and it has the Microsoft products and the Google products. Okay, and now I'm gonna review Rosetta Stone. We use this here as well in my region. We started using it in 2017 because of the difficulties we were having getting our clients registered for ESL, English as a Second Language, at our local college. We're a smaller area, we're not a big city. And so, there's a limit on the number of people who can be in class. So if, for example, you were assigned a new client who happens to meet with you in the middle of the semester of the college, they have to wait until the following semester to get into the ESL class. So for me, in my opinion, the lack of English proficiency is probably the greatest barrier that a client can have while seeking employment. So we got Rosetta Stone as an alternative to in-person classes. We still use the in-person classes, but lately we've been using, because like I'm sure we've been using a lot of Rosetta Stone. We've got a lot of refugees lately, so we're using a lot of Rosetta Stone. So there are 24 different languages available. Through my region, we see a lot of Spanish, a lot of Creole speakers. We assist the client with registering for the Rosetta Stone on the computer. So once they're fully registered, they download the app and they can do everything on their phone. Then we can run a report each week to verify the hours to enter in the JPR. It's license-based software, but the licenses are reusable. So once the client stops participating, the license is reassigned to another client. So lastly, thing here, Rosetta Stone has a speech recognition engine in its software that gives feedback to the client about their accent and their pronunciation. So, so this is an example. Next slide. This is an example of what a lesson looks like. So, and I'm gonna turn it over to Ben.
Actually, it's Javetta.
It's Shavetta. Sorry, I wrote on here Ben. So sorry.
It's perfectly fine. Workforce skills.
Shavetta.
Workforce skills for the 21st century is a paid platform. You do have to pay for it, but it is just another virtual platform clients can use to learn skills that they will need to be successful while seeking employment and or retaining employment. It is interactive, it's self-paced, and it allows the participant to learn at their own convenience. So some of the courses that the job seeker will be able to complete on the next slide within the workforce skills 21st century are attitude, improving your workforce skills, improving your basic skills, preparing for your high school equivalency test, prepare for a job and career test, and job searching and the resume tool. And then on the next slide, I'll kind of break it down just a little bit more for you. In essence, I'm sorry, go back one more. In improving your workplace skills, that is actually broken down to more coursework, which is like attitude and teamwork, workplace etiquette, email etiquette, verbal communication, time management, writing skills for the workplace, and then work keys testing preparation is kind of all what falls under the workplace skills. And then improving your basic skills, that one actually has courses in math, reading for the workplace, writing for the workplace, and grammar for the workplace. And as well, of course, GED is just the GED prepping. And then the aptitude tests, when it talks about preparing for job and career testing, it's the aptitude tests that are assigned to specific professions, licensing professions such as allied health or culinary arts or the law enforcement, nursing and teaching. And of course, the last part is the job searching and resume tools, which then allows the participant to create resumes, cover letters, receive tips for preparing for an interview or for professional advancement, career change. And then the best part of this is that staff members can review a usage report that provides a breakdown of the courses that a participant has completed or has been assigned to, the number of hours each client has completed on a daily, weekly, and or monthly basis. So definitely can be used for job search, job readiness, as you know, so as a core or a core plus activity. And now we're going to turn it over to Ben.
Thanks, Javetta. I'm Ben Vanderneck with Region 18, going to talk about a few other online learning platforms. Coursera is an online learning platform incorporating free courses as well as paid options. The site has 1,800 free courses created by top universities, including Yale, Stanford, and Duke, along with courses created by private companies. Topics range from business to computer science to personal development. These courses allow the client to obtain a certificate of completion, or the client can audit a course without the certificate option. Coursera also offers 100% online bachelor's and master's degree programs from schools including the University of Michigan and University of Illinois in fields including data science and business. Tuition information is available on the site. Finally, Coursera offers 3 to 9 month professional certificate courses from companies including Google and Facebook. Users can try these courses free for 7 days. Here's a screenshot of a sample free Coursera course through the University of Michigan. Metrics is an online learning platform built with workforce development in mind. It contains over 6,000 courses, 85% of which are mobile compatible, and 1,000 of which are available in Spanish. This is a huge amount of content, so Metrics can collaborate with your region to develop course clusters in targeted areas such as career readiness skills. It also offers prove-it assessments and programs like the Microsoft Office Suite and accounting software. These options can be appealing to employer clients who can also be set up with Metrics access. Metrics allows clients interested in obtaining a certification such as SHRM, Certified Human Resources Professional, or CompTIA, Information Technology, to take free pre-certification courses before paying for a certification exam. Crucially, Metrics also offers detailed time tracking reports. So here's the Metrics homepage showing the client courses and progress. And here's a screenshot of a sample Metrics course.
So next, we're going to talk about Florida Ready to Work, but a specific program through Florida Ready to Work, which is their soft skills program. And if we go to the next slide, so Florida Ready to Work has a component called Ready for Work Soft Skills. This program can fill in the gaps that are missing. When we spoke with employers and I know Rachel loves to do talk about the statistics, but one of the statistics from employers was that when they talked about what was missing with the workforce, they found that soft skills were missing twice as much as technical skills. They found that the foundational things that people needed to be successful in the job were often missing. So this program can fill in the gap in that aspect. This program is free. It costs nothing for anyone who's in the program. It is state funded. So there is no direct cost to your region or to the customers to implement. It is sponsored by the Florida Department of Economic Opportunity, and it is managed by the WIN Learning. It is a national career readiness company. During this, of course, you can see some of the soft skills courseware, which is conveying professionalism, communicating effective, promoting teamwork and collaboration, and thinking critically and solving problems. And so there are assessments. And if we go to the next slide, you will see that once a person completes this, they are able to not only gain soft skills credentials that can be applied to their resume, but now they have the skills needed to be successful. And this is an example of what that soft skills credential would look like. And as you can see, it is promoted by the Department of Economic Opportunities. And so now I will turn it over to Ben.
I'll give it to Marvetta.
Marvetta, I'm sorry.
That's okay. You can call me Ben. So Moodle is a learning platform designed to provide users with a single, robust, secure, and integrated system to create personalized learning environments. It powers hundreds and thousands of learning environments globally. It has a simple interface, drag and drop features, and ongoing usability improvements that make Moodle easy to learn and use. Because it is an open source, Moodle can be customized in any way and tailored to individual needs. Content on the Moodle platform is easily accessible and consistent across different web browsers and devices. Moodle Workplace allows you to cultivate a culture of learning to upskill and transform your workforce with its customizable platform, streamlining onboarding, workplace learning, and automation of common processes and compliance management. A particular advanced feature used by our region is the ability to manage compliance by assigning courses like a WT or SNAP ENT orientation and create a recurring and automated certification to manage compliance and regulatory training needs. So here in our region, when I spoke previously about changing our work registration and the on-site orientation, now we have a recorded orientation available to our customers through the Moodle platform. And when they complete it, we are sent a certificate, their copy of completion via email, and they receive a certificate. So now I will turn it over to Ben.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Hello again. We're going to talk about Crosswalk and online referrals to services. Rather than an online learning platform, Crosswalk is a referral platform to help easily and quickly provide needed referrals to services for clients. Crosswalk was developed by Region 18 CareerSource Suncoast and is currently in use in other CareerSource regions as well. As a client's case opens and barriers are identified, case managers can search Crosswalk for relevant participating partners and make an easy referral to a specific need. The more agencies that can be brought on as Crosswalk users in your region, the more powerful of a tool it will be for you. Here's the simply designed Crosswalk homepage where a case manager can make an agency referral. Next, here's the referral screen for a fictitious client in Region 18 requiring GED services. The case manager is referring them to one of our partner agencies, Sarasota County Schools. Here are some of our region's other partner agencies using Crosswalk: the Education Foundation of Sarasota County, Goodwill Minnesota, the United Way, Suncoast, and the Women's Resource Center. If your region is interested in more information, please visit crosswalkrs.com. Turn it back over to Javetta to talk about the MMR and engagement reports.
Thank you, Ben. So I know in the beginning it was said that this was going to be a part of the training, but actually it's not going to be a part of the training. I'm just going to outline it. So as we discovered here today, there are so many ways to engage the WT participants, but what does it all really mean? How do we put it all together? Knowing the performance measures, who is work eligible, and understanding how to use the reporting tools can assist with meeting the overall program goals. So briefly, what I am going to do is outline an upcoming training that will be presented by the SMH group. So the monthly management report and the engagement report. First, we're going to talk about the MMR. So if you go to the next screen, you can locate the MMR on the Department of Economic Opportunity website under the Workforce Development Board Resource tab. And by clicking on the state programs, there you will find the MMR. This is what the MMR looks like. And as you can see, I just put up measure 1, but of course, all of our performance measures are there for the WT program. And this is a way that you can see how you are comparing to the rest of the state, as well as you can look at individual case managers and see how they are performing. That information has to be pulled in a different perspective, but this gives you an overall view of how you measure compared to others in the state. The next slide. So during this training that we will be having, we will be defining who is a work eligible adult. Who's subject to sanctions? What is this all family participation rate and the 2 family participation rate? And what do we do with all of that? So that is part of what we're going to be defining in this training. We'll look at the all family participation rate and then determine how you are supposed to, the families who are completing the minimum hours based on the families who are 2-parent, 1-parent, at least one parent is working, or if they're medically deferred. So all of these things we're going to discuss under the all family participation rate. Next slide. We will talk about the minimum required hours for these family types to make it in the all family participation rate. And it doesn't mean that, we'll talk about a little bit about maybe what your region has and how they're, I heard Rachel say that her region requires everyone to do 35 hours. So how does that look? And what does that look like with the all family participation rate? So we'll discuss that a little bit. And the same with the 2-parent participation rate. We will discuss instances that can change a 2-parent status. Maybe where a family has a medical limitation or is incapacitated and is removed from the 2-family denominator, and how the family is still in the all family denominator. So those are some of the things that we will discuss. We're discussing them a little bit. We'll get into more details. And we want to ensure that you know how the required hours for the 2-family household should be divided. So we'll talk about that, give examples of what activities you can do. We'll talk a little bit about the teens, those with high school diplomas versus those without, who's considered a teen, and we'll discuss what we do with our teen parents and give examples of that. Next slide. So we'll talk about the work activities conditions. We'll discuss the work activities with time constraints and limitations, and understanding how to assign these activities and how they affect your participation. So that is something else that we would discuss. Next, the engagement report. I don't know how many of you are using the engagement report. It's an outstanding tool to use. It's another valuable report. This report can be accessed in the OSST system. Don't know for how long with the new changes coming, but on the right side of your OSTI screen, it can be located under the reporting tab. And then you just click down to where it says engagement report. Once you pull the engagement report, in order to get all of your data for your mandatory or all of your data for your transitionals or all of your data for your applicants, you would have to use all regions, all counties, all units for a period, and then you would hit the search button. And then you would go over to your region and click on MN for mandatory. And once you did that, it would pull up the information that is needed as far as it would outline whose cases are assigned to whom, open cases, only open cases, who are assigned. It'll tell you the activity. It'll tell you pre-penalties. It'll tell you when they were started. It gives you dates as to when those were started. So at a glance, you're able to look at most of the information that is engulfed in the OSST system at one glance. It's a huge report, but you can break it down to use it as you would need for your region. Next slide. So as we know, these are our magic numbers, right? And knowing how to reach the participation threshold and the requirements to do so will help us all do better, not as a region, but as a state, because we're all in this together. So I want to thank you all, and I'll turn it over to Tari.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Javetta. She gave us a trailer for some of our upcoming trainings. So thank you for that, Javetta. We have quite a bit that we plan to tackle here soon. So we hope that you'll continue to follow us and join us for those upcoming trainings. And just quickly before we close out, I'd like to thank our presenters. Again, my co-presenter, Rachel Paymer. Rachel's from Region 20. So thank you again, Rachel, for all of the awesome content that you shared today. I'd also like to thank Ben Vanderneck of Region 18. Ben's been handling all of our tech for about a year now. So thank you again, Ben, for your service to the group. He's just awesome to work with and keeps our presentations looking crisp. Thanks again to Javetta Fleury of Region 8 for your content. And also Marvetta Gordon of Region 13. So let's share some virtual applause for them, some hearts. Hey, this is your opportunity to jump in, be interactive. If you do have any questions, anything that may have come out today that you want to follow up on, we're just going to ask that you either email me or Rachel. And we will be more than happy to respond as a group. We can take these questions back to our TANF SME group, and we can collaborate, get back to you on a response. My email address is tdonaldson@careersourceesperosa.com. And Rachel, if you'll share yours.
Sure, it's R. Paymer, P-A-M-E-R. I could put it in the chat because people always put an L, but it's Paymer, not Palmer. So P-A-M-E-R at careersourcerc.com.
Awesome. And I have my email address in the chat as well. So again, in the interest of time, should you have any questions, or maybe you just want to chat a little bit more about some of the content that was presented today, again, just shoot us an email. We'll take it back and share it with our entire group, and we'll get back to you on a response. We hope that you took away one nugget or something you can add to your toolkit, as we mentioned at the top of the presentation. So hopefully it was a benefit to you and your region. We thank all of those who joined in with us and stayed for the presentation. And we look forward to bringing you some more content again real soon.
And thank you to the people who joined at the summit as well. So, because we did this presentation at the summit. So thank you to everybody who came to see us.
Yes, thank you. Yes, Rachel, definitely. Thank you to those as well who joined us for the summit. All right, well, I believe that's it for us. TANF group, did we miss anything? Anything we'd like to add before we leave? Okay, well, I believe we'll end this training and this recording, so we'll give Ben a moment to do that, and thank you again.